What has happened in Chula Vista? Today I am here in Bird Rock with the lead wolf, and he's going to be interviewing me and asking me all kinds of questions, and I'm going to give you all the updates and more about Chula Vista living.
Hey everybody, thank you again, and we have the world famous Mr. Chula Vista right here.
I don't know if I'd say world famous. How about city famous?
Your world, yeah, city.
City famous.
You might see him on the streets and going into shops helping people, but today's interview is going to be about his origins, how it all started, and where is it now, where is it going. Also, I'm going to ask him a couple of questions about where the future of marketing, social media is going. All right.
Thank you so much for having me, Oscar.
Well, thank you, Kurt. Well, thank you for being here, man. Tell me about Chula Vista Living, how did it started, what was the very first channel you opened?
So back in 2006, when like the housing market was booming.
10 years ago.
I know. So back when the housing market was booming and everybody in real estate, agents had money, I put out a magazine. I put out a full-on magazine. It was a really nice magazine, all about Chula Vista. And it was all about the positive things in Chula Vista. I personally always have felt that Chula Vista always got the short end of the stick when it came to like news and just exposure and awareness and things like that. I don't feel we got really, unless there was some crime happening or there was like something that was like, major, then the news would come down. Fast forward, now, yes, the news is coming down more and more and they're understanding Chula Vista. But then in 2006, I always felt like there just wasn't that kind of exposure for Chula Vista. Especially the main thing was like the events. Chula Vista, not only does the city put on great events, there's a lot of organizations in Chula Vista that put on some phenomenal events. And I always felt like those never got promoted. It was always the residents who just wouldn't realize what's going on in their own community. Yeah. They wouldn't know about the good events. They wouldn't know about fun things to do with the family because no one really explained that to them. So they always left Chula Vista to go to other areas to things. So that's why I put together the magazine. Plus, I've always loved magazines. I've always been a big proponent of magazines, even now today. So I wanted to put out a magazine that talked about all the good things, nothing political. I didn't want to dive into being like a news outlet. Outlet. I wanted to be the positive, uplifting kind of like these are the good things in the community.
So 2010, did you succeed with the magazine?
Well, no. So in 2006, we published a magazine in March, and 2006. So we published a magazine in March, and it ran for about 8 months. In September, when the housing market started falling apart, and nobody had money, real estate agents had to back out of their advertising deals that we had. So it was like, well, I got to do something. I can't continue this magazine; it was just too expensive. So I couldn't continue the magazine. So I moved it to an online platform, which is, chulavistaliving.com. And we put all the articles up there, all the photos that I took, everything was up there. This was the previous website. And so I put it up there and I was in the background, I would still do, a little bit of updating and I would still cover Chula Vista. Like I was still out there repping Chula Vista. I posted up on Facebook, Twitter, X now as it is. I was still posting on there. That's when I had my biggest following. So I was posting on there. And then, after that, I had to get a day job. I had to go out there and actually get a job because this wasn't sustainable. So I had to get a job. So I left the website in the background. I always like toyed with it. I always felt like I wanted to come back to it at some point. So I always left it just running. And then it got majorly hacked. Like it got hacked like you would never believe. Yeah, it got hacked. It got hacked. So I was like, you know what? I can't do this no more. Everything was gone. The database was gone. All the stories were gone. Everything.
What did you have in there?
Huh?
What did you have in there?
Like articles. We had articles. It was built on the Joomla platform. If you know Joomla, it was a CMS back in the day. So it was built on that platform. Everything was gone. Got destroyed. Wow. So I was like, well, you know what? Then it was
discouraging.
It was discouraging. Yeah, it was discouraging. So I just kind of like let it. I forwarded the domain name to the Facebook page, Chula Vista Living Facebook page. I just forwarded the domain name, and I would stay active in there, and I would kind of like grow. And for the past 10, 15 years, So about maybe 4 years ago, I created an Instagram account called Chula Vista Living, and I was posting not this one, one before it, one before it, Chula Vista Living, and so I would post on I was a photographer. I've always been a photographer, hobbyist, and so I kind of posted up like sunset photos of Chula Vista or even things about Chula Vista, and then Instagram, I don't know why, but they banned me. I tried to log into the account, and it was like, yeah, your account has been disabled. if you want to apply for an appeal. And I was like, I don't have time for that, So I kind of let it sit back again. So then I was like, no, I'm gonna give it another shot. I'm gonna do it another shot. So then, since I couldn't do Chula Vista Living, I got Living Chula Vista. Hence, this one now. That's why it's called Living Chula Vista. And so I did this one. And again, I was posting up photos. I was posting up little videos, a lot of event information and things, And then 2 years ago, I was at a Christmas tree. There's this big Christmas tree lane, kind of want to say, in Chula Vista.
What year was this?
This was 2024, December of 2024.
Okay.
And I had around like 500 followers at the time, maybe 1,000 followers at the time. So I was like, I was at this it was like one of those like Christmas tree display neighborhoods, big neighborhood in Chula Vista called Porch Swing Street. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be Mr. Influencer, and I'm gonna do a video. I always felt kind of like a little bit, I don't want to say shy about it, and I see people doing that whole hey, at a restaurant or something like that. I was always like,
cringy,
I was like kind of like cringy, So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. What the hell? I'm gonna do it. And so I did a video. I just, hey everybody, I'm out here at Porch Swing Street. Come on out here. And that's when you really saw the hockey stick level move. Like I just started gaining followers after followers. And, seeing that, I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. I went from 1,000 followers to 5,000 followers pretty quickly. So I was like, well, let's do another video. So I kind of
that video format is what I'm distinguishing here is that video format that helped you. Because previously you were just posting
photos,
static images, but there was no person behind it.
There was no person behind it.
So what were you think is the key to that hockey stick that you really helped grow?
I think...
Because right now you have 44,000 followers and growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the biggest key of it, and I tell this to everybody that always asks, I think the biggest key is that they see me as a resident. They see me at supermarkets. They see me at the events. They see me around town. They know that I'm part of Chula Vista. I'm not just somebody, there's other influencers who are out there who come down to Chula Vista when they get paid and they do a video on whatever restaurant hired them at the time, and then they bounce back to North County. They see me out there, I do a video and it's like, oh, I know this guy. I saw him at Albertsons the other day. I saw him at the event the other day.
Do you have any competitors? Let's say in the area, is there another channel that is for Chula Vista?
No, I mean, the funny thing is when I grew to around, I think it was 20,000 followers, the city of Chula Vista actually reached out to me.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we'd love to talk with you and find out what it is that you do that all of a sudden you surpassed us. I blew away all of the other Chula Vista accounts, the Chula Vista Police Department, the Chula Vista City of Chula Vista official Instagram page, the fire department, all other Chula Vista channels, I surpassed them.
That is fascinating because if you pull that out, what do you think is the key difference? Why this humble account now all of a sudden it's over here and it has more trust than these other accounts?
I don't know. I want to think that it's the community, I said, going back to what I was saying, they know me, they see me, they know that I'm part of this community. I've lived in this community for over 37 years. I wasn't born there, but I've lived in the community for 37 years. I've raised a family in Chula Vista. So, Chula Vista always has my roots, that's, a great thing. And I think another thing is obviously the city can only do so much on their Instagram accounts or any social media account that they have, just because of the whole legality of it. And just because, they can't go out there and focus on one business without another business being, well, wait a minute, so I think that's what I think a lot of it is, because it's a city account. But, when you go back to saying is there another competitor? I mean, yes, there are other Chula Vista channels. There's some great ones out there. And I'm not just saying you don't need to follow them. We've worked together. Katya, East Lake Food to Go is another great account. And she focuses a lot on positivity towards restaurants and things, But to say if there's an account like mine, no, there's no account like mine.
Here's my take on it as I see it, right? From a different pair of lenses and looking why that account is very successful. Well, one of them is because you have a purpose behind it. And I think that's very important. You love to help people. I think that was your drive. And behind that, I'm going to drill down on this.
Okay.
Was your mom had a lot of love for Chula Vista.
Yeah.
So I always felt and see in your work that you're passing that torch in a new channel, in a new way. Yeah. How does that resonate?
So my mom was big in the community. She was big in Chula Vista. She loved Chula Vista, and she was a big proponent of being out there in the community. She was part of the garden club. She helped out on a lot of civic things in Chula Vista. And she was like, yes, it's that kind of like keeping of the torch, keeping of the her legacy of helping not only businesses but the community.
Yeah.
Because like I love the Chula Vista community. Like I love the city of Chula Vista. And all of its residents, all of its restaurants, and everything. It's any business in Chula Vista, right? So yes, it is a tie into that. Like my mom, kind of like carrying on that. Because when I was awarded my my proclamation of a day,
I remember,
Mr. Chula Vista, it was very, I want to say emotional, because I remember when my mom got her proclamation, and and I was in that same office. I was in that same, that civic, I don't want to say amphitheater, but I'm talking about hall, where I got my proclamation was where she got her proclamation. So it's always been like, it's amazing. Because even today, when I go to places, like I was recently, about 3 weeks ago, I was at a place, and I was like, I was like, hey, I do this Chula Vista account, and someone said, I know exactly who you are, and I knew your mom. I knew your mom.
Yeah.
So, it was like, so my mom's legacy is still out there.
Yeah. And they give her a bench, if I remember. There's a bench and a plaque.
Yeah, they gave her a bench. They dedicated a bench and a tree in front of Norman Park Center.
Yeah, I remember that. To be fair, and I want to put it here on the show, is Kurt's always been driven to helping others and passing that torch, right? So one of the key factors, for example, is that he was the first person to give me a camera and teach me how to use it. That's how I became from right now I can put a hat on as director of photography and make movies and all this stuff. But yeah, Kurt has always been an enabler for these kinds of skills, so like photography, website design, like WordPress. So Kurt and I have that synergy of teaching each other these skills and things. But I got hats off, like he's always been there for me as a enabler of these new skills. So I'm really grateful for that and put it out there.
Yeah, thank you.
But now you're becoming this platform of helping others. So one of the, aside from the awards, all these things, you're driven by purpose. And I think that's what distinguishes you from other influencers or accounts that have an agenda, for example. There are other accounts will have an agenda. I need to reach X amount of people because there's a vanity metrics. I need to put these videos out of me cooking, doing this stuff because I'm gonna get followers and I'm monetize all this stuff. That doesn't drive you at all,
No. No.
But one of the case studies that I remember you telling me is that you would go to a restaurant, specifically in Chula Vista, and the next day you would get a call from an owner thanking you because his sales increased.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
No, it's happened a few times, and it's amazing, and I'm so glad because when I go out there and I do those like those restaurant and I talk about businesses.
Do you have one specific that you remember?
Mexico Lindo Bar, or not Mexico Lindo Bar, Mexico Sweet Lindo. God, I can't remember the name right now. I'm so sorry.
So it was a Mexican restaurant.
No, it wasn't a Mexican restaurant. It's a Mexican. They do pastries. They do cakes. They also have they do tortas. They have coffee. They do coffee as well.
Do you remember their account?
The one that comes to mind would have to be Sweet Lindo Mexican Bakery. This one right here. I went out there and I did like a little bit of a restaurant review. Not really a restaurant review, but I tried some of their pastries. They have amazing pastries. I also had their torta lunch special, and then we had their coffee as well. And they told me, that one. They told me that they got an overwhelming amount of support. Because I was out there, and they loved it. They sent me messages, their heartfelt messages that just, it's just amazing to see. When I don't go into these restaurants thinking like, oh my God, you better be ready. You're going to be getting 1,000 people walk through the door. If I can get just 2 more than they normally get, I'm happy. Like I'm ecstatic. So that one, is one that really sticks out to me. But there's others on my account that I do because. The thing is like when people tell me like, oh my God, you're an influencer. And I don't really consider myself as an influencer.
Why not?
I don't know, because I'm not one of those people, like you're never going to see me, like I see a lot of those other influencers out there do restaurant reviews that they'll eat in their car. Like, they'll be in their car. Like I'm literally going to be sitting in the restaurant and I'll do the video there. I'll just do it live. Like I'm going to do it as kind of like low, like, I don't want to say low budget, but just I'm not going to go all out and make this fancy video. I'm going to make it just a homegrown. This is a great place. They have great food. They have great drinks. It's a locally owned. Come out and support them. That's it.
How do you keep balance with being honest? Because trust is a factor with your followers. Yeah, you know where I'm going.
Yeah, I know you're going.
What happens? You get invited. You've never been there before. You're really excited, but the food's not good.
It's a tough one. Typically, most of the places that have asked me to come out, like I've already been there before, so I know what I'm going into. Like I already know what I'm getting. I personally like it when I can just go there like al natural, not going in there with the whole like Chula Vista persona, and I like just going there and experience it for myself. I don't mind if I have to pay. I don't mind if I gotta like not get that kind of like A-lister treatment if I'm just Joe Blow kind of like sitting there. So I think those ones are a little bit more appealing to people than me going there and saying, like, hey, I partnered up with so-and-so and I'm here to talk about, whatever it is, because there has been times where I've gone there, but everyone has their own opinions on food. It's so hard to say, oh, I didn't like this place, because you might like it, you might and try it. I always say, go there with an open mind. I'm never going to bash a place. I'm never going to go in there and say, oh my God, this is horrible. I've gone to places in Chula Vista that were just like, I'd gone there not invited. I went there just to visit them and maybe do a video on it, and it was a bad experience. It was a bad experience all around, and I never did a video. And they've asked me to come out and, hey, can you do a video on our place? Right. And it's like, oh, I'm busy right now, or like things. So it's a tough one. It's a very tough balancing act.
Yeah, I'm sure. What other challenges you have as influencer hat?
Other challenges? I mean,
what's difficult?
It's a lot of it is, everyone has such a negative, we're getting a little bit better. I know back like, 10 years ago, Chula Vista had that kind of very negative vibe where it was like, oh, it's a Chulawana, so I think more and more, we're getting a lot of amazing restaurants and businesses that are capturing not only locals, but everyone around the area too, that are coming down to Chula Vista to try out these different places that have grown organically on their own social media channels. Galoo is one that I think has just been able to just explode their social media organically because their food is amazing, their drinks are amazing, they have a line out the door all the time.
Let's talk about your best post. I'm going to go back into the marketing aspects of it. Like, what's the one that is like your crown jewel post?
Well, recently is that one right there.
Which one?
If you can only bring back one.
This one right here?
Yeah, that one right
4,494 and 1,600. Okay.
So that one has close to 600,000 views.
And there's just images. It's not even you talking.
Yeah, it's a carousel. Yeah. Yeah, it's a carousel post. And I think this one, because a lot of the followers that I have, not only do they, love Chula Vista, but they also remember the old Chula Vista. And this, I think, throws back to that old Chula Vista nostalgia.
Tap into the nostalgia.
Yeah, it taps into that nostalgia. So, these are 4 places that were big in the Chula Vista community back, in the day. And so I kind of just threw it out there, and I just wanted to kind of see what was people's reactions to saying, if you could only bring back one of these 4, Soup Plantation, Fun for All, the Vogue Theater, and Fuddruckers, which one would you bring back?
And which one was it?
Oh, it was close. It was so close. So the winner was, I did a follow-up video. The winner was Soup Plantation.
There's a follow-up video?
Yeah, that's
which
right
one?
above that one right there.
This one right here?
Right there, yeah. So I did it, and in there, I think it was at the time, because I still get comments on that video today, or that post today. Like, there's still people going in there chiming in. And it was a tight race, and Soup Plantation won out over Fuddruckers.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Michael, do you agree with that? No. But what I find interesting is a factor one is that you tapped into nostalgia.
Yeah.
So that's a method I feel you're going to continue doing.
I'm going to do it again because a lot of people sent out other businesses. They're like, oh, you forgot about this business or you forgot about that business. So I'm going to tap into that one definitely. Yeah,
because if I'm looking at it and with an auditor kind of eye here, it's like I'm seeing 1,000. So there's a range of like really big engagements. The algorithm right now like favors people who save it and people who share it.
Yeah, and comments.
And comments. But those are, in the past, it was likes and all this stuff. But now what I understand from other interviews I've had and people in the industry is like, those are the three major ones.
Right.
I'm going to share with you my biggest beef with social media is the vanity aspects of social media.
No, I understand.
I feel that that's for me, if I'm with a client or another account, it's like how many followers you have and how many likes.
Right.
Like, but there's two sides of that coin. One is the vanity that you can go in as an influencer. Your clout score is going to be how many followers you got.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. But in the other side of that coin, in the how much money you make, what's working right now are micro influencers and not big influencers. So let's say someone who has 1 million to 10 million followers will charge enormous amount of money for a post or something, an engagement that you do. Mm-hmm. But I see you in the aspects of micro influencers, and you're more niche. And then you're not only niche, you're also in this city and the environment. Mm-hmm. So your cloud value has more than somebody who has 1 million followers. Let's say
100%.
Some influencer goes in with 1 million followers, goes into, but yeah, it won't have that amount of impact. But how do we measure that impact? Like in follows? Or let's say you go to a restaurant and then they have 100 followers, you visit and then have 10,000 followers. Ooh, well, not that many, but 500 followers. Okay, great. It's a vanity aspect, feels good. It's something measurable. It's something that a business owner can understand. But my beef with it is that it's a wave and then flats out. Do they keep coming? You know, all these things. I feel that I want people to understand that social media is one aspect of awareness, and it's also one aspect of your audience engagement or your farm, that I call it. You know, you have, it's a relationship you have with your current clients.
Yeah.
So all these people that you brought in, these restaurants, these things are responsible to keep nurturing that relationship with them. But bottom line, what these restaurants are looking for is income, revenue.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, where a lot of people get confused, that if they do a post, immediately that's going to reflect going viral and then make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. They might see the spike, but then it goes flat.
Yeah.
I think that's, for me, is my biggest beef with it, that they feel it's just social media and that's it. They don't have to do anything else.
No, I agree 100%, because I feel that, you know, a lot of these restaurants, I see them all the time. Like, you know, I follow their accounts, you know, and they're going hard on that, trying to do that viral thing. You know, they're getting the employees to sit out there and dance, or, you know, hitting them in the face with, you know, pies, and they're doing all these like gimmicky things that worked back then,
right,
you know, just to get that one post to go viral. But the funny thing is like, you know, it might go viral because, you know, someone in, you know, New Mexico or someone in New York saw it and they're like, oh, that's funny. Like, you know, this girl got hit in the face with a pie, you know, but they're not in your area. They're not in your community. Exactly. You know, like a lot of businesses, they don't think about the, you know, like when they say like, oh my God, I got like, you know, 25,000 followers. You're like, oh, I got 30,000 followers, you know? Well, you know, how many is it, or how is it that, you know, those followers, like, where are they? Like, where are they your core business?
Right.
Because a lot of people, and I still say this all the time, I would rather have a newsletter list of 10,000 people than an Instagram account with 20,000 people. It's way more valuable, because those are your ride or dies. Those 20,000 people on Instagram, they're only there to follow you because you did a funny thing. You did a funny thing, and I'm waiting for you to do the funny thing again. Oh, you're not doing the funny thing again? Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna think. Because there's accounts that I follow on my personal account. You know, there's a guy in, God, I forget where he is. I think he's somewhere in New York, and he does really cool videos. He's a deli. I am never going to go there. I am never going to go, visit his location. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not his core business.
Right.
I like his videos because they're funny videos. He has a really cool attitude. He has a really funny thing. So I'm going to give him a like. Maybe I might comment on it.
Yeah.
But for him, my following him does nothing for him.
Right.
You know?
Well, it increases their followers and maybe cloud and investors.
Yeah, cloud, that's it.
Yeah, but
that's it though.
It's, for example, I like Wendy's social media. It's funny.
Yeah,
I like Burger King.
Another one.
I haven't been to Wendy in years.
I know.
And I don't think I'm going to go, because my go-to is like In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Family loves it. I'm going to stay there. You know what? So it is that duality. And then The second part and where we're going now is with AI and the AI slop.
Right.
So you have all these AI creating this content, just pushing out as much as they can to create this engagement, and it's creating the opposite.
It is, and I think what's happening is it's like pushing your stuff down, because I see accounts now. Like I saw, there's this one business in Chula Vista where they used to have a really good response, a really good engagement with their stuff, and they've, almost halved it. Where it's like, they're lucky if they get 200 views on their videos now.
Yeah, it depends on what they're going to use it for. Let's play with that democratic thing. I feel that what AI is going is becoming very democratic in the platform of social medias and online. And what I mean about that is that a mom and pops can have the same marketing muscle and power as a big corporate Wendy's, right? Has a whole team and all this stuff. So they can create these content that looks okay. It's a slop, but it's their daughter, it's their uncle, somebody that knows, a graphic designer who meddles into a little bit of AI and does that and starts pushing. The content quality might go up a little bit, like, oh, look at that, it's fun, it's animation, all this stuff. And then compete with the Wendy's or other restaurant, right? But what's happening, and I see the psychology behind it, it's very interesting. And I see it with my crew, for example, that there's a lot of resistance with the AI inclusion. So immediately if there's something AI, like, no.
Yeah. Oh, no, I see a lot of big AI backlash now, especially like we were just talking about earlier before this was the AI flyers. It was like, you see those things everywhere. Every business was using the same kind of template. It looked like we were all going to the same event. We were all going to the same restaurant because the AI flyers all looked the same. They all had that same thing. And there was one in Chula Vista that used an AI flyer for their event. Yeah. And I was at that event and it looked nothing like that flyer. You literally just lied to everybody. So, it's great because you can make a really, nice flyer easily, but it doesn't represent your event. It doesn't represent the actual event. Always use that kind of like real photography.
I feel what you're talking about there is authenticity. Yeah, and without authenticity.
Even if it's ugly, now, like all of a sudden, I remember everyone was getting backlash on those Canva templates. It was like Canva flyers. Like everyone was like, oh, that's a Canva flyer. I know exactly where that template is. I know exactly which one it is. Now it's like they went from, oh, forget about these AI ones. Let's go back to the Canva ones.
And that's a psychology that I start seeing, for example, going back to ugly stuff.
Yeah.
So here's one example. I did a photo shoot here in the studio for Christoph, who does props, and he's the Master Chief, right? You'll see him in Comic-Con, and he has a Master Chief. He was Megan the Stallion on stage, and he's the chief. Got many cosplay influencer, right? And he built this prop for Halo, and it was like a $3,000 prop, custom made. He took some pictures here. He was selling it on Etsy or somewhere, and then the buyer goes like, this looks great pictures, looks fantastic. I need a behind the scenes or something when it looks ugly because I want to know if that's not AI.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm buying something legit.
Oh yeah, no,
So we're going back into a production era where we're taking things on your phone and not a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 camera. It's going backwards.
Yeah.
But the key point here is honesty, authenticity, and error.
Yeah. It's 100%. I think people really want to see that it's actually, now even with like craft fairs and events, like WonderCon, things like that, they're really rebelling against that AI art. Yeah. Don't bring that stuff here. Yeah. Don't try and sell your AI
like
art.
Like the Oscars now can't win an Oscar if it's AI.
Yeah.
Like it's human.
You're seeing that anti-AI kind of like revolution where it's like, don't bring your AI art here. Like now, like Etsy, I think I read somewhere that they're going to start trying to crack down on it, which is hard. Pinterest, I think they already gave up. I think now, like
it's always popular, so it's Slop. I always love testing things, but not for the sake of the tool, but the output.
Yeah.
And when the AI thing came up, like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and now Claude, is in my back of my head, I always compared it and say, okay, AI is a tool. And you apply it to things, right? ChatGPT will do this thing and it can create emails, it can create proposals or do these things back and forth. And with Claude, for me, it was like, I understand now when I start using it, and I understand now what's happening, the impact it's having in the industry.
Yeah.
I understand if this is even bigger with Project Mythos and the government is like, I see it.
Yeah.
I understand it and want to go back to like my crew, going back to people in my network and say, it's like, hey, this is a wave that's happening right now. And the way we understand AI is very different than the way we understand ChatGPT and all these things. The one thing I was wrong is that AI is not a tool, it's an amplifier of humans.
Right.
So what I mean about that is that if you have bad habits, if you have bad marketing, if you have good marketing or good habits, those get amplified. That's pretty much it. If you have good financials, if you have good workflow, good tax, health, and clinical, it's going to amplify it.
Yeah.
But if you have bad marketing, bad AI, bad flyers, it's just amplified. So it's not a tool, it's actually an amplification of the workflow that you do. And that's where the danger is. It's kind of like this thing that it's in the wrong hands, oof. But if it's in the right hands, then it's going to do good.
Right.
A lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of people we're in a revolution where people are going to go back into working with their hands. I have a friend who worked in database management for big companies, and they told him like, hey, by June, no more human code. We're moving away. And what are you going to do? Like, I don't know. So it's a big change shift now in 2026, May 2026. I don't know what we're going to do next year, but what I do see going is that humans, us, we're going to move away from the screen and do more human things. The baker is going to go bake more. The person who had the carpenter, we're going to computer for social media, but it's going to build now furniture. I feel that with this, the good, if we forecast it correctly, we're going to go into being more human, more interactions. So you were telling me, for example, we're working in WordPress. So if we go, for example, into cloud design. Now, Kurt is a graphic designer, photographer, and also web designer. And we're having this conversation, and now as an influencer, on web design. Kurt and I have designed dozens of websites. A lot of websites together. So when we started using like cloud design, and here's my example on my website, you do a process of brand decks and brand designs with cloud design that's pretty much a $10,000, $20,000 exercise just to get to this level. And now cloud design does it in half a day if you put into it. And you can change like the headers live. So for a creative director, this would be fantastic or for a mom and pop owner, you build a website and it shows to you. You can change like the call to actions here, the primary accents, and then design if you want to look compact or editorial.
Yeah.
If you're a hammer, everything's a nail.
Right.
Right. Everything's a nail. So this looks pretty and can be gimmicky, but when we put it in practice and I say, hey, Kurt, I have this website. How does it look now in real life application going into, hey, let's make it happen in a WordPress. Let's make it happen in Joomla. What do you see this happening now in this design?
Well, I mean, these are awesome. I mean, this is really nice. I like this, but this is an HTML file. So yes, you're going to have to still have a developer. If you want a WordPress website, then you're going to have the developer have to build this into a WordPress website. Depending on a lot of different factors. Are you going to go in there and edit it? Are you going to go in there and make changes to it? Do you want it to kind of stay how it is now and not really tinker too much with it? Yes, you can, edit the headlines and things like that.
That's one of the points that you like, and I like working on WordPress is that I can create landing pages. You can create, let's say, I don't want that anymore. Let's take it off. So if I have a page that needs to be changed, you need to go back to this, edit, upload again. Is that the workflow you're envisioning?
Yeah. I mean, something like this, you would definitely have to do that. You would have to go in there, tell Claude, I want to change this headline for this. I want to move this around. I want to, put this section a little lower. And then you have to redeploy it back to the server. A lot of people, especially business owners who might not have that skill, they're going to have to rely on somebody to kind of do that for them to, kind of like make those changes, upload it to the server. Make sure that, because yes, an HTML page is great, but there's a lot of different factors that are in behind the code that might have to be even refined a little bit better.
You remember Dreamweaver?
Yeah, I remember Dreamweaver. Yeah, I remember Dreamweaver.
Remember Dreamweaver? Kind of like Dreamweaver. You had to go back, change it, upload all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that eventually, like cloud code or things, this could be automated. 100% it could be automated and put it on the server. My point here is the human element.
Right.
Because if you leave it alone, if you just automate everything, then this would just go do whatever it wants without the human touch. It will upload stuff, thinking it will hallucinate that it is doing the right thing. But more and more, as these processes go, you still need the human element to verify, upload it directly. That's my point.
You still need it, yeah. You still need that person who has that skill of managing a server, managing a database. You still need that in the back end, being able to make this website live, make sure that it's coded correctly, make sure that all the tracking tags that you want added to it, make sure all the events that you want tracked added to it. I mean, there's a lot more we could go into, like with this whole the website space. I mean, there's a lot more we could dive into, and it's always good for companies to learn about that. I mean, yes, to be aware of what's coming out there, what the tools are available, but I always say, reach out to a professional just to kind of get because a lot of the times, like these AI models, like no matter it be art, no matter it be whatever, there's hallucinations, there's things that just need to be, make sure that they're, because you just can't all of a sudden just like, oh, this HTML is from Claude, throw it up on the server and let's go. So I think, reach out to your local web developer like me if you want, or, we can definitely.
There's always a balance and calibration. Yeah, keep it human. Yeah. So, Chula Vista Living. How do people reach out to you? How do people invite you?
Yeah, there's a lot. Before we started this podcast, or before we started this, I was telling you that this was never in my plan. Like, I never wanted to be this like. I say influencer just to say influencer, because I haven't really come up with a different title. I never really wanted to be that kind of like person. These are just tests. These are just tests right now.
Did it work?
I don't know. I have not gone into it yet.
Is it on YouTube?
I just put this on. I just put this on not recently.
Oh, okay. Because this is a very traditional YouTube.
This is a very standard, thing. Like, So, but going back to what I was saying, like, I never envisioned that I would be this person on it. And even when I go out there and I do videos, before, like, I would go into these restaurants and I would be kind of like, or even a business, and I'd be kind of like embarrassed, where I didn't want to be that like person with a camera in their face while they're eating, or, do a video, things like that. I was always kind of like a little bit embarrassed. But now this has really opened me up. Because now it's like, I don't care, whatever. I put the camera on the table and I start eating away, even by myself. I'll be there by myself, things like that. So this whole thing is taking me kind of like a different journey. And, I want to build this out even more. Like, I don't want to just keep it on the Instagram, TikTok, thing. Like, I want to build out this website. This is a website I developed right now. But I want to build this out even further, where it's like an informational tool. Like my event calendar, this event calendar here, people love this because it has like the events for the month and things. So people love this kind of like information. So my envision is to build that out even more and to make ChulaVistaLiving.com a very an informational tool for residents. So. Yeah, if you're in the Chula Vista area, if you love Chula Vista, then make sure you follow me online. You can always find my Instagram account by going to Living Chula Vista, and I'm going to pop up there. Or just go to my website, ChulaVistaLiving.com. In the footer, I have all my social media handles down there. There is a lot of them. So yeah, I definitely recommend doing that.
Awesome. So right here, they click, and they can just text you on, message you on Instagram?
Yeah, message me on Instagram, Facebook. Don't really, sometimes my DM folder does get a little backed up, so it does take me a little bit of time to go through it. Direct message me on my website, on my contact form.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks for being here, man. I look forward to the second one. Thanks.
Definitely.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Leave your comments below. Any questions you have for Kurt
and
or for me. Thank you. On to the next one.